Does dry brining your steak overnight in the fridge on a tray make a massive difference? Well, today in this video we're going to find out exactly that, because I've got two steaks. I'm going to dry brine one, I'm not the other, and we're going to see the exact results. Let's go. So firstly, for those that don't know what dry brining is, all you do is get your steak, cover it in a good coarse sea salt, put it ideally on a rack in the fridge for a good 4 hours, or for the best results, overnight, a good 24 to 48 hours. The salt draws out the moisture in the steak, then it draws it back in. Then when it takes the salt in, that helps break down the muscle fibres within the meat, which helps tenderize the meat. Then, if you leave it long enough, it will dry out the actual surface of the meat, which helps with that Maillard reaction. Maillard, I call it Maillard, which helps with a sear. When you get that crust, that adds a lot of flavour too. So with that being said, let's go back to yesterday when I got the two steaks. I've left one sealed, I got the other one out. Now I use Malden, it tends to be pretty good. Get good results from that. Covered it in a good decent bit of salt. Coarse salt is always best to use. If you use fine table salt, your steak will be over salty. Trust me, I've been there, I've done it. All you do is get the salt, cover it over, then put it on a decent wire rack, because you want that airflow to get around it. You can use kosher salt, anything that's decent coarse salt. So I put them in the fridge overnight and then got them out, and here we are now. So noticeably there's a massive difference in colour. That's the first thing to point out. And also, that is tacky. So that is very dry, and that's going to help with that Maillard reaction. Crust is flavour. So what we're going to do while the coals are lit, I'm going to get this one, just put it there. Get our control steak, take that one out of the way for a minute. Get some of our Malden coarse salt, just so this one's got a chance. This is what a lot of people do. They salt their steak about 20 minutes before putting it on the grill. So we're going to do that with this one. So get all those other bits of salt. Get our other steak, and we're just going to let them sit there for a good 20 minutes before we cook them. So one other thing I am going to quickly do, and that's just slightly score the fat cap on both of these. Try not to go right through to the meat. I just find it helps get a little bit more texture and crustiness. So you can distinctively tell what one's what just by looking at them. Look at that mahogany red colour on that already. I can tell that's going to get a better crust. That's the one we dry brined overnight, 24 hours. And that's the one we've just give 20 minutes of seasoning. So let's get these on the grill. Let's get them cooked. Let's go. Control steak, brined. What I'm going to do firstly is sear off that fat cap. Me personally, I like to constantly move my steaks around. Get in there, doesn't take long. Get in there. Just flip them both over to the opposite sides. I'm going to take these both to 60. I want a nice medium on these, not so much medium rare. You can tell what one's the dry aged because it's slightly narrower. But I'm trying to move them around so they're both getting that evenness. I'm actually going to take that off. So far the 24-hour brine is getting more of that Maillard reaction. Let's see where we are for internal temp. I'm guessing around 30. 28. Okay. Might munch that in a minute. As I say, I just like to constantly move, flip, turn, spin, and move around. I just find you get a better even crust that way. And you can see there, it's getting there nicely. See that fat dancing? That is really what you want. Okay, so that's getting to 60. That's 64. I'm going to take that one off. What are we at here? Yep, 65, 66. We'll let these rest for a good 10 minutes. Looking good. So these have both just had just over 10 minutes to rest. Straight away you can see the controlled steak has leaked out a lot of juice, which isn't good. That one I don't think is dried out at all, because obviously part of that process is for the juices to come out, take the salt back in, helps break down those fibres. That is still going to be juicy in my opinion. We'll soon find out. Both in half directly in the middle. They're both looking pretty juicy, to be fair. More juice coming out of this one than there is this one. Let's take a slice. Pull apart tender. Pull apart tender. Taste test. Flavourful. Taste test. Tad more chewy. Slightly, nothing major. Slightly less seasoning taste. So even in Aaron Franklin's steak book, he does actually state that he has done a few tests like this, and he finds 24 to 48 hours dry brining with Maldon salt is what he found to be best. Coarse salt, any coarse salt, but he found that to be the best. Works a real treat. He knows his meat. Just a little thing there. If you haven't got that book, go and get it. It's a great read. It's well worth getting. Definitely. Put that in my little section. Slice that one. So there we've got controlled steak, dry brine steak. Pulls apart really easily. A little bit tougher, not a lot, and it's not tough in that respect, but I mean, that's not bad by any means. That is a great steak. It's got some nice beefy flavour. You've got that saltiness there, the little tiny bit. Less crust, because it wasn't as dry. In my opinion, it's definitely worth doing. Personally, I wouldn't bother if you're slicing this up for your friends after doing it this way. There's no need for finishing salt. Whereas this one, I would say, would definitely benefit from having that finishing salt dusted over. They're still both great, but this is definitely better, in my opinion. Is it worth it? I do think it is. It's a fair bit different than that one. Not masses, but enough to notice. So if you've got time to dry brine, get on and do it. If you haven't, 20 minutes before does work, but it's nowhere near as good as this. So with all that being said, go cook something exceptional. I'll see you when I see you. Cheers. Oh yes. So I've got steak sandwiches tomorrow. Yep, definitely slightly more tender, a lot more flavour in that respect. And you get that Maillard reaction happening a lot easier than you did on that one. To get the Maillard reaction crust on that one, you'd end up slightly overcooking it in my opinion. Still good though, very good.